How's it going, everyone? Josh Armijo here. I hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I got an album review to do for you, and I'm going to be talking to you about the debut album from the band Omnivore, entitled Omnivore. This is released on Unspeakable Axe Records. Now, if you're not too familiar with this band, they are based out of Varese, Italy, and the best way to describe the sound of this band would be a very simplistic yet traditional style of thrash metal with just a hint of death metal influence thrown in there too. Originally, this band used to be known as Nightmare of Fallen, and they released a demo back around 2011. But then, moving a few years later, they decided to change their name and undergo a different kind of approach, changing their band name to Omnivore and then releasing a debut full-length. The thing is, this debut needed some proper distribution, and that's where we get into Unspeakable Axe Records. They offered to release the debut full-length from this band, and here we are. It's their debut full-length under the Omnivore name, self-titled. It's 8 tracks, and it clocks in at around 31.5 minutes in length. And pretty much, this isn't really breaking new ground when it comes to thrash metal, so to speak. But from what I'm listening to, and from what I'm picking up with this album, this band has so much more to offer than what's being shown here. I honestly think this is a little bit of an appetizer with the main course soon to be coming up, hopefully from this band very, very soon. I really am impressed with this debut album, and I would say this is definitely something that would interest any fan of traditional thrash, death thrash, or even that Bay Area thrash type of sound. I mean, a little bit of Sadus, Exodus, early Slayer, pretty much Rain and Blood through Seasons of the Abyss era Slayer, even Sepultura to an extent. The guitar riff work on here is pretty much your standard fare when it comes to thrash metal, but the way that it's being done here, it has that familiar kind of effect, but yet the riff work here is played very, very well. It's very well played, very articulate, very, very classy. The guitar riff work has a very classy approach to it, and I'm really enjoying the way that it's being played here. Preferably on the opening moments of the intro of this album, then to tracks like Dead and Trust. Just some really, really wild and crazy riff work going on here. I think it just sounds awesome. The bass tone is very audible and crystal clear. I love that about the bass tone. That's pretty much been one of my favorite aspects of modern sounding thrash, is you would hear the bass very clearly and very audibly. Not too dominating, but yet you know it's a very vital part of this album's mix and production style. I think the bass is very smooth here, very well played. Nice underlying tones on the first couple of tracks that I mentioned, and even tracks like Hippochrist. You get some really good bass tones going on with that particular track. Now moving on to the drums. I would have to say the drums are pretty much one of my favorite aspects of this entire release. The drums feel very upbeat and natural. Lots of double bass, fills, and thrash beats. Very traditional sounding stuff, but yet the way the drums are being handled here, it feels great. It's a very, very smooth and well thought out drum performance. I'm loving the way the drums sound here on this album. Everything flies by very nicely. Nothing feels too rushed or too out of place. It definitely fits just right, and it's definitely pretty much one of my favorite aspects of this entire release. And moving on to the vocals, I'm digging this vocalist style and approach. You can pretty much understand everything that he's saying. It's very well worded, very articulate. And of course you get your little bits and pieces of gang chants. That's something you would normally associate with like early Exodus records and stuff like that. Definitely on tracks like Hippochrist. It's well evidented there. I'm not sure how many people feel about gang chants in songs, but yet I feel it's more appropriate when it comes to traditional sounding thrash metal. Plus, the vocals give off that death metal kind of influence and vibe. I'm really, really appreciating what the vocals have to offer here. Another great track to point out of this album is Nothing More Than Dust. That's pretty much my favorite track of this entire album. For the first couple of minutes of the song, it definitely feels like your traditional kind of deathy thrash metal song with some death metal influence, but yet it breaks off into a more mystical, acoustic kind of vibe. I mean, I think that's really cool. And I would love to see this band execute that kind of twist approach in future releases. Not to mention the Sepultura cover at the very end of this album, Arise. I think it's pretty damn cool, very faithful cover. So overall, like I said, this isn't really anything you haven't heard before, but I think Omnivore delivers something very impressive and something very fun to listen to. I mean, if you're into traditional thrash, if you're into thrash with elements of death metal, Omnivore deliver a really, really good debut album. From what I understand, this band is currently on a bit of a hiatus at the moment. They're they're on hold, so to speak. But hopefully, when they do return, they will be even greater than what they have the potential to be right now. I think it's pretty damn cool. So, if I had to pick any favorite tracks, I would definitely have to say Dead, Trust, Hippochrist, and Nothing More Than Dust. Pretty good tracks. I'm going to leave you some links in the description box as to how you can listen to this and possibly get a hold of it. I believe there are a few tracks that, I don't know if there's a few or if there's a single track that's currently streaming officially through Unspeakable Axe, but I'll leave you a song to that. Also, you can buy it directly from either Unspeakable Axe or Dark Descent. I'll leave you links to both of those respective sites so you can buy it from either way. Either way you can get a hold of it. So, again, the album is Omnivore by Omnivore. This is released on Unspeakable Axe Records. Check it out if you're into classic thrash. And as far as the score is concerned, I'm going to give this, by the time being, a 7.5 out of 10. Good debut. Definitely, I'm looking forward to hearing what the future holds for this band. Some good potential. I think this band can sound way better than what they are being presented here with this debut. So, either way, support Omnivore. I'm going to conclude this review. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for checking out my channel, and until next time.